Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we're diving into a term that's reshaping one of the most personal journeys a person can take, the path to sobriety. It's called California Sober, and it's sparked a massive debate. Is it a legitimate harm reduction strategy, a stepping stone to a healthier life? Or is it a dangerous misnomer that romanticizes substance use? Let's unpack the science, the stories, and the controversy. The traditional idea of sobriety has long been defined by complete abstinence from all mind-altering substances, a model heavily influenced by 12-step programs. It's a clear, unambiguous path. To be sober is to be free from alcohol and drugs. But as societal views change, so do our definitions. California Sober is an informal term for a lifestyle where someone abstains from alcohol and so-called hard drugs, but continues to use cannabis, and sometimes psychedelics like psilocybin. The term gained huge traction after singer Demi Lovato released a song with the same title in 2021, sparking a global conversation. While she later stated this path wasn't a long-term solution for her, the door had been opened. The concept's roots lie in the harm reduction movement, a public health strategy that aims to minimize the negative impacts of drug use rather than demanding complete abstinence. Proponents see California Sober as a form of harm reduction. They argue that substituting a less harmful substance like cannabis for something far more dangerous, like alcohol or opioids, can be a life-saving choice. This shift is also deeply tied to the changing legal and social landscape of cannabis. As legalization spreads, the stigma shrinks, especially among younger generations who are increasingly questioning dominant drinking cultures and looking for wellness-focused alternatives. For many, this isn't about finding a loophole in sobriety. It's a conscious choice. One person who adopted this lifestyle shared, "If it wasn't for having weed as a fallback, having something that I really enjoyed doing that could take away from being razor-sharp sober all the time, I would have 100% gone back to drinking." This sentiment captures the core of the argument for it. But to truly understand the debate, we have to compare the two key substances at its heart, alcohol and cannabis. And when we look at the science, the contrast is stark. Let's start with the brain. Chronic heavy alcohol consumption is a known neurotoxin. Research overwhelmingly shows it causes significant brain damage, including a reduction in both gray and white matter volume. Gray matter is where your brain's processing happens, thinking, memory, and decision-making. White matter is the network of nerve fibers that allows these different brain regions to communicate. Alcohol damages both, leading to cognitive impairment, memory loss, and other neurological problems. Now let's look at cannabis. Studies on its long-term effects on brain structure have been far less consistent. While some research, particularly involving heavy use starting in adolescence, suggests potential changes in brain regions like the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, other studies have found no significant long-term changes in gray or white matter in adults. A 2018 study from the University of Colorado Boulder directly compared the effects and concluded that alcohol use was associated with long-term changes in brain structure, while cannabis use was not. In essence, the evidence suggests cannabinoids are significantly easier on the brain than booze. The comparison gets even more dramatic when we look at overall long-term health. The risks of chronic alcohol use are severe and well documented. We're talking about liver disease, including cirrhosis and fatty liver, pancreatitis, an increased risk of several types of cancer, including mouth, throat, esophageal and breast cancer, heart disease, and a weakened immune system. The World Health Organization links alcohol to over 200 different diseases and injury conditions. Cannabis is not without its own health risks, particularly when it's smoked, which can impact respiratory health. However, these risks are generally considered to be less severe and far less widespread than those associated with alcohol. The most significant difference, however, comes down to addiction and overdose risk. Alcohol is a highly addictive substance, and alcohol use disorder is a major public health crisis. Furthermore, the risk of a fatal overdose from alcohol is very real. Thousands of deaths occur each year from acute alcohol poisoning, where the body's vital functions shut down. Cannabis, on the other hand, has a lower addiction potential. It's estimated that about 9% of people who use cannabis will develop a dependence on it, compared to higher rates for alcohol. And when it comes to overdose, there is no comparison. A fatal overdose from cannabis alone is virtually impossible. You would need to consume a ridiculously large amount in a very short period for it to be lethal, a quantity that is physically impractical to ingest. So how does cannabis actually work in our brains to produce its effects? Our bodies have a built-in network called the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. The ECS is a master regulator, helping to control mood, memory, appetite, pain, and sleep. The cannabis plant produces compounds called cannabinoids that interact with this system. The two most famous are THC and CBD. THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, is the primary psychoactive component. It's what causes the high. When THC enters the brain, it binds to cannabinoid receptors, specifically CB1 receptors. These receptors are concentrated in areas of the brain linked to pleasure, memory, coordination, and time perception. This binding triggers the release of dopamine, a key neurotransmitter in the brain's reward system, leading to feelings of euphoria and relaxation. This dopamine mechanism is also what can, in some individuals, lead to the development of cannabis use disorder. Then there's CBD, or cannabidiol. CBD is non-psychoactive, meaning it doesn't get you high. It doesn't bind to receptors in the same way THC does, but it can modulate their activity. Research suggests CBD has a range of therapeutic benefits, like reducing anxiety, inflammation, and seizures. Interestingly, CBD has also been shown to counteract some of THC's negative effects, like paranoia. This brings us back to the central debate: is embracing cannabis while quitting alcohol a good idea? The arguments from both sides are compelling. Advocates for the California sober approach frame it as a pragmatic and compassionate harm reduction strategy. Given the scientific data we just covered, they argue that for someone struggling with alcohol, switching to cannabis is unequivocally a move toward better health. The risks are demonstrably lower. They also see it as a potential gateway to full sobriety. For someone who finds the idea of total abstinence daunting, this approach offers a more flexible transitional phase, allowing them to stabilize their life and work on underlying issues without the constant pressure of absolute sobriety. At its core, this movement is a statement about personal autonomy, challenging the one-size-fits-all model and empowering people to define what recovery means for them. However, critics, including many addiction specialists and members of traditional recovery communities, raise serious concerns. The primary one is the